Welcome to Nick's Tesla Life.
You can customize the navigate on Autopilot, and it starts out, I believe, in average. You can have it disabled, mild, average, or Mad Maxx. Let's do Mad Maxx. Let's see what this little... So the difference is that the mild setting suggests a lane change when you're traveling sufficiently slower than your set speed, whereas the Mad Maxx setting will suggest lane changes even when traveling only slightly slower than your set speed. So it's all based around your set speed. There is no difference in the safety of it. It's just how quickly it will suggest a lane change.
So here's a close-up of what it looks like. That gray line is the suggestion of the lane change, and then when you press your blinker or the gear shift, the blue line covers the gray line and it executes the lane change just like it normally would if you hit your blinker. So you're going to see another one. There's the gray line, that's the suggestion, and then you hit the blinker and it executes the lane change.
So I thought I'd show you how Navigate on Autopilot predicts or asks you to change lanes. It had just taken me to the right lane, so it's asking me to go to the left. Go to the left here. Left lane was moving a little faster, and what I'm curious here is if the right lane opens up, whether it'll take me back to the right lane. It did just a minute ago, and I didn't capture that, but I was in the middle lane behind a truck. The left lane was pretty busy, the right lane was wide open, and it actually took me to the right lane past the truck. It actually worked pretty well. It's the first time I've seen it go to the right when the right lane is open. And the left lane's moving pretty good here, although now it might be slowing down. So I'll just let you watch and I'll comment if it actually does a lane change.
So during this stretch, the left lane is moving faster than the center lane, so it never suggests going back to the center lane.
So here's the situation. The right lane is a little bit, or the center lane up here is a little open compared to the lane that I'm in, and it hasn't predicted to have me get over. I may have actually done that on my own. Definite Mad Maxx driver. Apologize. And my lane is slowing down. That right lane is wide open. Very curious if it's going to predict to change to the center lane here. We got a car coming up from behind, which is cool to see. Ah, it did. Look at that. It did. Sense that this middle lane is wide open. It's going to accelerate up to my 78. Should throttle that. Let's leave that there. It's my 8 offset from the speed limit. Very nice prediction there. And this lane is wide open compared to the other 2 lanes. It's keeping me in it. Imagine eventually this lane's going to slow down. It'll be the slower lane. Let's see what it does. Now here, the right lane is going to be wide open for a stretch here for a little while. Let's see if it predicts to go over to it. But there's some cars coming in, so it may not. My lane is definitely slowing down. Unfortunately, there's traffic on my left here coming up. I just looked backwards and saw it also. So staying in this lane is not too bad a situation. I might have jumped, yep, look at that. I was just about to say, I might jump left after behind this car, and it predicted that and did it. Very nice. I think this has improved from when it was first released. It seems to be a little bit more aggressive now in making its decisions to both go left and right. And when I first received it, it would go to the left lane and just stay in this lane and never really came out of the left lane. I'm now starting to see it come back when the left lane is slower than the right lane. And I even had it go from the center lane to the right lane when the center lane was slow and there was traffic in the left lane. And then capture that. Maybe it'll occur again for you. So I'll just let you watch this. Okay, right lane is opening up here. Let's see if I might jump to the right if I was driving. It's not super advantageous because there's a car up there. It doesn't look like it's going to. Still doing less than the speed limit now. I could have gone 3 lanes over, or 2 lanes over, and gotten fairly far ahead. But it's just staying in this lane. We're doing pretty okay here. Now we just got into, we're approaching our exit, so I predict we're going to be suggested to move over pretty soon. Let's see, it's 1.5 miles out because we have to get into either one of the right 2 lanes. It'll actually be interesting to see if it takes us to the far right lane or the center lane to take this exit. Looks like it's going to wait to a mile out. And my right 2 lanes are going faster. So we're at 1.2 now. I probably would have gotten over by now. And we'll watch. As soon as it gets to 1 mile out, I bet you it's going to suggest that we move over. So we're at 1 mile out. Wow, still didn't. Upcoming lane change occurred at 1 mile out, or 0.9 miles out. So it's a little different. It's suggesting what lane to get into. So I'm going to put on my blinker. And I think it just almost cut somebody off there. That wasn't too good. I'm curious if it's going to stay in this lane. I think both the 2 right lanes do exit. So let's see what it does. A lot of traffic here all of a sudden. So it looks like it's going to stay in this lane, although it's saying it's going to exit. So it's not going to change lanes. It's just going to take the exit out of this center lane, which it can do. Does, and then it should count down and take us into normal autopilot. So I have an exit coming up, and it wants me to get over, suggesting, but it's letting me know that there's traffic there. So I'm going to put on my blinker to get over. You need to get over to your exit lane, not the exit itself, and it advises you to get over when you have an exit approaching. So we have an exit coming up. It gives you the warning that it's about to go into autopilot. Let's see if it takes the exit. And wow, it didn't want to. I don't know why. It usually does. So my first lane suggestion change. Some a little bit of traffic in front of me, but not a tremendous amount. Just got on this highway, and within seconds it asked for a lane change. So now I'm in the center lane, and let's see, we have a truck in front of us. And it's again suggesting a another lane change here to the left. Just touch the blinker. You can touch the blinker soft or hard, or you can actually hit the gear shift to acknowledge the lane change. An upcoming release will automatically lane change. So I'm curious here, I just passed some traffic. Ah, look at that. Very nice. It is now suggesting to get out of the left lane once you pass your traffic. I think that must have come in a recent update, because when I first got the V9 Navigate on Autopilot, once you went in the left lane, it would just stay in the left lane almost forever. So this is nice. So I speeded up a little bit, and it's about 10 or 12 car lengths out that it suggests a lane change. Hopefully you can see how far out in front of that traffic it suggested for us to move over.
So this is a pretty long stretch where it just keeps me in the left lane. There's a fair amount of traffic in the middle lane, some openings here and there to get in, but not really.
So starting 2 miles out, you start getting warning messages to get over a lane into your exit lane. I've got an exit coming up. It actually started at 2.2 miles out. So we'll get over one lane here to start, and we're going to need to get over another lane. A little bit of traffic here. So it highlights the lane it wants you to get in, and then shows you the suggested lane change. We've got some traffic here, and all this traffic in the right lane is going to exit, so I'm going to get over after that lane. You can also highlights red when it doesn't want you to change lanes because of cars in that lane. So here now I should be able to get over, put on my blinker, and there was a little bit of a car behind me, so it hesitated for a second, but then it speeded up. I gotta throttle down my speed here. Now I've got an exit coming up. I've got another lane change coming up. I don't think it's going to do this one by itself because this is sort of like an exit lane. Yeah, so I got to do this one manually, and then this is the exit lane, which it will take by itself. Now it's going to start throttling down automatically the speed because of this exit ramp. It goes a little slower, so I'm going to put some throttle on here because I got a car right behind me. It really goes a lot slower than I think a normal driver would, or at least I would. So I'm in the right lane, and that's more open, so it's keeping me in the right lane. Usually when you get on a highway, you move over to the left, or it asks you to move over to the left. But it sensed that my right lane was better off, so it kept me in the right lane. Now I think I'm going to start hitting traffic, so we should see it suggest, there it goes, to get into the left lane. Let's see if that actually helps. Looks like it will, because of this truck in front of me. And so far the third lane to the left now is not really moving faster, so it should keep me in the center lane. I wonder how much more that left lane needs to open up before it suggests to go over. And it's just keeping me in the center lane here. The right lane actually looks better, but there's some cars up there. I wonder if it would take me to the right here. was in Mad Maxx driving mode, I might jump over to the right, but it looks like it wasn't going to get me anywhere. So it's keeping me in the middle here. I predict at some point it's going to suggest I get over to the left furthest lane. Left lane now is starting to move a little faster. This center lane is backing up just a little bit. I bet it is going to, yep, just suggested to move left, but it's letting me know there's a car coming. I'm going to put on my blinker. And it should move over once that car got ahead of me. So that was really nice. So you can put your blinker on while the red line shows up, and then after the car passes, it will move over. Now this lane is slowing up a little here on the left, and looks like the right lane's doing a little better. I'm curious if it's going to ask me to go over, especially since a car's coming and these brake lights. I bet it's going to ask me to go over. Not yet. Some more brake lights coming up. Although our lane's doing a little better now. Far right lane looks wide open. I don't know whether it can see 2 lanes over to make a judgment to get over there, but that lane currently is pretty wide open. So here the car in front of me moved over, and it's going to hit some traffic. Though all the lanes seem to be going about the same here, so I guess we'll probably keep us in this lane. So it appears when you're in bad traffic like this, well, it's not bad traffic. I get beat up when I say bad traffic, but somewhat heavy traffic, that it navigates over to the left lane and then just stays here. I don't know whether the far left lane is doing substantially better than any of the other lanes. Sometimes the left lane does equal or worse, but in this situation our left lane's doing pretty well compared to the other 2 right lanes. So it is just leaving us and not suggesting us to go over. I don't know what I'm talking about. So usually at 1 mile out, I have an exit coming up. It starts identifying the lane it wants me to get into. And there it goes. So it's letting me know that it wants me to get into the center lane here. And as we get closer and closer, it's going to start suggesting that I change lanes. So that's sort of your lane identification. And now it's telling me to acknowledge a lane change. And so I'm going to put on my blinker here, and it is not going to be easy to get over, so it's slowing down. I'm going to speed up. And it jumped in front of this car. That was pretty cool. Whoa, I think I took over. Sorry about that. So I'm on a highway with no real traffic, and I'm curious if it'll keep me in the right lane. So far it is. So it doesn't just jump over to the left lane unless there's really traffic there, which makes sense. Usually every time I get on, there's traffic and it jumps over. It's already asking me to go over one lane. There is one car in front of me. Yeah, must have picked up that car there, or the truck in front of me. So it went to the far left. Ooh, that was weird. Swerved left, came right, and then went left again. Very strange. Okay, so I just slowed down, and it knew to get over one lane. Ooh, but it picked up that truck and is swerving back and forth. Very strange. Let's speed up here. So as soon as I slowed down in the third lane, it realized it should really get over. So I'm curious, if I slow down here, will it go over to the far right lane? It really should, because there's no reason to stay in the middle lane. But it could be just programmed to stay in the middle lane, but not necessarily get over to the right lane. Now I'm running into some traffic here, so it's asking me to pass them on the left. I've seen it once pass on the right when there was traffic in the two far left lanes. Okay, again, I'm going to slow down here. And yeah, as soon as you slow down in the third lane, oh, it went to the right, but it must have picked up those cars in the center lane ahead of me. Looked like it wanted to get over, but then let me slow down even more here.
You know, in my opinion, he has right to put down what he would like as it relates to borders.
Now I'm going 70.
He doesn't get the right to make up facts. Remember the old Italian guy who said you can't...
There is a car there, so I'm going to pass that car up there.
He does have the right to promulgate a plan.
Okay, so here's a good example.
Work on the border. By the way,
so here's a good example. Let me see if I can pass both of these cars. So after this car here, there's really nobody in front, and I'm curious if it's going to go over. Slow down a little bit. Okay, so I'm going 80 with no cars in my way. Yep, it knows to get over. Doesn't just stay in the left lane, which is really good. Now the question is, will it stay here or will it go to the right lane? I'll try slowing down a little bit. It looks like it's just going to stay in the middle lane. I'll ride this for a while and see if it doesn't. Starting to come up on some traffic. We should see it suggest to go over to the left lane. This should give you an idea of we're slowly creeping up on these cars when it suggests it. There it goes. Now I'm going to try using this. I use the gear shift. Single click down to change lanes, to speed up to pass these. So again, right after passing these, nobody in front of me, but some traffic. Look, it's pretty cool. Asks you to get back out of the passing lane. It's really good. Even though I'm going to run into some traffic here, it did take me out of that passing lane. I don't know if it's... Oh, look at that! Getting over to the right lane. Very interesting. Haven't seen that yet. Now, don't like it passing on these cars on the right. I don't know, it's a little dangerous. Passing on the right there. And I guess it's going to go back to the middle lane because I got a car in front of me coming up. Yep. That was very strange. I'm glad I caught that. Don't know why it wanted to pass on the right. There was no traffic on the left, far left lane. And we're approaching this car. Yep, there it goes. Goes to the left this time. Last time it went to the right.
Personal shoppers and sell their belongings at a garage sale. You know, I have constituents who are doing just that. I mean, they should.
Very interesting. It slowed down here to get over instead of passing that car. I really didn't have enough time to pass it, so it slowed down by itself. That was pretty smart. Now we're taking an exit here. It should take it by itself. It does. Puts the blinker on. It should slow down here. There it goes. It slows down by itself, which is real nice. It slows down a little too much, so I'm going to give it a little gas.
It took him having to admit to being a white supremacist in the New York Times for anything to happen. And moreover, he literally said the same thing to what he said to the New York Times. He said that in October as well. He told a local Iowa TV.
Okay, we're entering a highway. It's shuffled left there to get onto the highway. I'm curious if it's going to increase the speed by itself to the speed limit.
So I just engaged Autopilot on the on-ramp to this highway.
And it's immediately asking to get over, but there's a car coming quickly, so I stopped it. That wasn't safe. Get over by myself. Put on autopilot. Now we've got navigate on autopilot. So that was an example where a car was coming up very fast. I looked at my rear view mirror and I put on, it suggested to go to the middle lane. I put on my blinker and it started going over, but I noticed a car coming up real fast. I don't know how far back it could sense. I didn't want to take the chance, so I took over. So now it's suggesting me to get over to the far left lane. It senses the car coming up on my left, which is good. I'll put on my blinker. It'll wait for that car to pass. There's another car back there, but it's not like encroaching. So it doesn't show it, but there is a car right behind me. Doesn't seem like it looks backwards far enough to see cars coming up. At least it's not displaying cars coming up from behind. Let's see if it stays in this lane for most of my trip. Crank it up a little bit to stay with the traffic. Now I'm going to throttle down here a little bit to see if it thinks to get over. Nobody's behind me. So I'm just slowing down to the speed limit and seeing if, yep, that was pretty cool. Acknowledge the turn. Oh, that was interesting. Throttled down and then it didn't. So I throttled down. It suggested a lane change. I acknowledged the lane change, but I guess before I acknowledged it, it gave up on it. Now I throttled back up just to stay with traffic here, and it's asking for a lane change back. Sort of makes sense. Slowed down. The traffic in that center lane was probably going equal or faster than 70, and it knew to get out of the left lane.
Which, by the way, is an official way for
So here, I'm going 75. There's going to be no traffic in front of me in the center lane. It should, you would think, ask to get over, although I don't know whether it can tell which lane is which on that curve. But now the truck's there. I don't think we're maybe going slightly faster than that truck. Yeah, so it doesn't want to get back into the lane because of that truck. Let me pass this truck. So I just passed that. I'm going to throttle down to test this again. I am probably now going the same speed as that traffic there. And I'm curious if it's going to get me over. No, it isn't. I got traffic coming up from behind me, so I'm going to speed up. Now, when I pass this car, it looks like there's a big enough gap. Past these two cars, looks like there's a big enough gap that even going at this speed, I would think it should get over to the right center lane. There is a truck there. It doesn't pick up the traffic in 2 lanes across, but I would think it should get off to the right here, or go off to the middle lane. Yep, so it did. So it's pretty good. It definitely doesn't just, whoa. I've seen that happen before. It goes to change lanes and then it swerves back. Hopefully I caught that. People behind me must think I'm nuts. But I was saying, it doesn't just stay in your left lane. It definitely looks for the opportunity to come back to the center lane, or if it was 2 lanes, I guess the right lane, which is good.
You started a DIY project at home. Then you realize convenience isn't always easy. Why in DIY doesn't mean why is this so hard. At ADT, we DIFY. Do it for you.
Okay, that was good. I acknowledged a lane change to the left. Noticed this car in front of me here, coming up pretty quick. It went to change lanes, but it stopped. Let that car pass. So it might have done that in the very beginning here, but I took over in that case. This time I let it go, and I noticed that it didn't cut in front of that oncoming car that was coming up pretty quick. About the same situation. I think the other car might have been traveling a little faster. Tough to say.
So here I turn the blinker on manually. I want to try to take the exit coming up, which is not the exit that the Navigate on Autopilot wants to take, and I'll show you what happens. So I press the blinker twice here to move over to the far right lane, and then you'll see in a minute I'm going to try to take this exit.
Okay, I'm going to try to take this exit even though Navigate on Autopilot. Wow, that's interesting. I hit the blinker and it turned it off twice. That was strange. That was very strange. I hit the blinker and it turned it off. So I wonder if you're in the right lane or the far left lane and you put on your blinker, it's turning off your blinker because it knows you can't use the blinker in those situations. So I just entered the highway. It immediately asks me to get over. Hesitated there. I think there was a car in the far lane. And it's probably going to ask me to get over again because I got a truck in front of me. Yep, it does. Didn't cut in front of this, but there was a car behind me, which I assume it saw. There was room to get over, but it was a little close. Let's see what it does here. Now, traffic like this, where there's pretty solid traffic in the first two right lanes, I've seen it just stay in the left lane and not get back over to the center lane. Rarely goes all the way back over to the far right lane. I'm going to see if I can try to travel this highway late when there's no traffic at all. Okay, so coming up here, after we pass this next car, I'm curious if it gets over. Slowing down there for some reason, that was odd. So we're going to pass this car. The car in front of it is probably traveling at our speed. And I'm curious if it suggests to get over. Probably would be appropriate, and it does. Look at that. So it's doing basically what a normal driver, and there, that happened before. Oh, it might have disabled that suggested lane change because this car had slowed down. But I've seen it after I acknowledge the lane change that it's suggesting with my blinker. It jumps a little bit over and then comes back. I've seen that occur a few times. I wonder, as it's changing lanes, it's changing its decision to change lanes. I'll have to look at the other times that it has occurred. But that was a good example. It really feels weird. It's like halfway through the lane change and it abruptly switches back.
Pushing is just a matter.
So here's a good example. I wonder if it's gonna take over to the right. I think if I slow down, let's slow down 5 miles an hour. Yep. So if you slow down after passing some cars and you have room, it looks like it immediately jumps to the right. I don't know what it would have done if I stayed at 80, which was probably about the speed that car was going. So it didn't. Now it's asking to get back over because I guess this car must be slowing down. We acknowledge that. Ooh, that would have been a problem. That guy cut in front of me and slowed down. I'm glad I got that on camera. That was pretty dangerous. He went from the far left lane and tried to get into the right lane, which was exiting and was backed up a little. So he cut in front of me. It had already started a lane change to the left, but he was braking right in front of me, and I took over and swerved to the left. Wow. Whew. Definitely have to be careful and should be in control at all times. Just got on the turnpike, and it's keeping me in the right lane, which is actually good because the right lane does move better here than the left sometimes. Now, we're coming up to a big merge, and I'm curious what it'll do here because it slows down. This lane slows down. It hasn't asked me to get over yet, and there was an opportunity to get over. I probably would have gotten over. But I am letting it decide. Let's see how it does. Looks like it's going to stay in this lane, and we've got a merge situation, which it never was very good at. I think it's gotten better at merges. So let's see. First thing I'm noticing is it's not staying as close as it should to that car. It's leaving a pretty big gap. Well, I would definitely be closer to that car. Okay, now it's suggesting to get over, but I don't think it's going to be able to because there's so many cars coming. Actually, there's an opening, and it took it. I actually wanted to see... I'm curious if it makes a lane suggestion independent of whether there's lots of traffic coming up from behind. So for example, now there's a lot of traffic on my left coming up. You can see it coming up here. But these two lanes are going about the same speed on the in front of me and to the left. So it doesn't really need to make a lane suggestion to go left here. Let's see what it does. So it made a good decision to stay in this center lane because it's moving better than the other two lanes. I don't know whether that'll stay that way. Now, the left lane is starting to do better, but there's a lot... Oh, there it goes. And there was an opening. Interesting. So again, it made a suggestion to go to the left lane while there was an opening available. So I'm starting to think it may use that information to aid in its suggestion. We'll see if we can figure that out. Okay, so it looks like the center lane opens up after this truck. I'm curious if it sees that and jumps over to the center lane. Now, we're still not at our set speed, and those traffic just came in, so I don't know whether it used that information to not jump over. A lot of times when you pass a car, if it doesn't just stay in the left lane just to stay there. Okay, again, the right lane is open, but it may be that we're not going our set speed, so it's hoping that this lane is faster. It is just hanging in the left lane here. So I can see the right lane here is going faster. I'm curious if it's going to tell me to get over. So far, no. Clearly, the right two lanes are going faster than the lane I'm in. Normally get over, and I think I'm going to get over manually. Let's see over sooner, I would have been way further ahead. I have an exit coming up in 2 miles. Let's look again when the indicator tells me to get over to the right lane. I thought it was 2 miles out, but it looks like it's not. There it goes, 1.7 miles out. So you get this little indicator here, and you get a line in that lane trying to tell you you want to move to that lane, but it's not suggesting. There, it finally suggested the lane change at 1.5 miles out. It could have been because there's a little bit more opening there. It's tracking the speed of this truck. And let's see, it should take this exit. It does by itself, which is cool. Then it warns, well, no, that's just because that's going to go into autopilot here. So I'm going to try to put the autopilot into mild instead of Mad Maxx and see how lane change, how aggressive or less aggressive lane changing occurs. Okay, so got navigate on autopilot, going onto a highway. Let's see when it lets me turn it on. I have a lot of construction here, so this ramp isn't ideal. Terrible road lines, so that's why it's not picking it up. It should pick it up. There it goes. So I'm on the on-ramp. Got a little slight turn here. It throttled down, now it's throttling it back up. Let's see what it throttles up to. I'm sort of curious. That's pretty cool. So I guess it knows this road. So that was real neat how on the ramp it throttles and then goes to +8 from my offset. Just got on and it suggested a lane change, which doesn't really make sense because there's no real traffic in front of me yet. I'm actually pulled into traffic. Let's just make sure I am in mild, and I am. So that was one of my thoughts when almost every time I've gotten on a highway, it immediately wants me to get over. I think I have one video, hopefully that'll show, where there was just no cars at all, and it did stay in the first lane. But I guess it just sensed there was some traffic ahead and decided to get into the center lane. Now, I don't know how long it's going to take for us to hit some traffic. Not too much traffic this morning. Let's actually see. I don't see any red whatsoever here. Navigation is just great, by the way. And as I've shown before, I think after about 20 seconds, this should snap back to driving mode. Starting to hit a little bit of traffic here. And I just started slowing down. Pretty confident that it would have suggested in the Mad Maxx mode to change lanes to the left. By now, definitely, because I'm really slowing down. There it goes. So it didn't do it quite as quickly as before, maybe. Waited just a little longer. Here's a good situation. After I pass these cars, will it move back over to the right? So I think normally I would, as a driver, pull over to the right at this point, because it looks like that car is going my speed. Might be catching up to him a little bit. I'm going to try slowing down here and seeing if it... Yep, so as soon as I slowed down, it knew to pull to the right, which was nice. There's a lane change cancel. I get that every once in a while. I wonder whether it noticed that car up there. Let me slow down again. Now I'm going a little too slow. I don't want to cause some traffic jams behind me, so I'm going to speed up. So I'm glad you saw that cancel. It does happen from time to time. It suggests a lane change. You execute, you click the blinker to do the lane change, and then it starts swerving, and then it swerves back, and it comes up with cancel. Now here again, we're doing basically our speed limit, so it's not going to probably suggest we change lanes, because we're close to our speed limit. And let's actually stay behind this car, which is doing 74. Now this car's slowing down a little bit. It still hasn't suggested that I change lanes. I think the Mad Maxx mode would have suggested a lane change by now. And this is not. So I guess that's the big difference. Just how quickly it suggests a lane change when the cars in front of you are going slower than your set speed limit. I wonder if I just put in that I want to go faster, whether that will... Yep. So by simply putting in... Now that was interesting. I got a big jolt to make that lane change. The car behind me had also started a lane change. I didn't cut him off or anything, but it definitely jumped a little to not annoy the car behind me. I don't know whether that was this normal jump when you move over, or ooh, and look at that. Suggests that I get back right away. That was pretty interesting. With the max speed set to 80, I guess it sensed the cars above in front of me were doing that speed limit. But that was nice. So definitely doesn't stay in the left lane. It tries to make a reasonable decision to come back to the middle lane. Doesn't seem to go back ever to the far right lane unless it's planning to take an exit. I thought I just saw it blink to jump over to the left lane there. Got some traffic coming up. I think it should suggest, yep, left lane change there. I wonder what it's going to identify this truck as with two cars. Let's take a peek. There's a car with a truck right here. Wow. Okay, so got a little confused because it was basically pulling a car. Now again, it probably should, yep, and it does. It's always a little scary when it pulls next to a truck, but it's quite reliable in lane changing. Really sees the lanes, understands them. I don't know whether sometimes, now we're hitting some traffic. Okay, it's suggesting a lane change. Sometimes it suggests and then it disappears. We just saw that. Here, it took the lane change. I don't know whether you have to respond within so many seconds to the suggested lane change. I've sort of seen it just sit with a suggested lane change indicator, which is that gray line. I'm a little curious here in this kind of just slow traffic whether it can really guess at the best lane to be in. From my experience, the far left lane is not always the best lane to be in stop and go traffic. But we'll see here. You can see the far right lane is moving a little bit. Now it doesn't show or sense or detect the third lane. Curious if it's going to suggest to go over because the right lane looks to be a little bit more open, or the middle lane. It doesn't. I would have jumped over there as a crazy Mad Maxx driver. But I'm not in Mad Maxx mode. Maybe that's the reason. And as you can see, I would have made the right decision. For some reason, I've noticed the left lane in stop and go traffic is not the best lane to be in. Now there, a car goes. I'm gonna just let it. It suggested. Look at that. It suggested to move over. I wonder if it sensed the car. It's getting smarter now. I would jump over to another right lane because I found the far right lane is the best lane to always be in stop and go traffic. Because I guess cars are going off now. Cars will come on at the next on-ramp, but I usually just stay in the right lane, middle lane or right lane, and stop and go traffic. But I am impressed that it moved over to the center lane here. That was great. I've also noticed in these situations the time interval for having to wiggle the wheel is longer in stop and go traffic. So I think it's probably based around the speed limit that you're traveling that affects how often you have to wiggle the wheel. And so when you're going slower, they give you more time in between wiggles. So here's a wiggle. I'm going to wiggle. Now we're starting to go back up to 60, so time interval here is probably going to be back to a shorter 30-second, 40-second time frame, I bet. We'll time it in the video. Keeping just a very light handle on the wheel does not give it enough information to know that your hands are on the wheel. There it goes. So we'll find out how long that was. If you keep a slight torque to the wheel, which I'll keep now, you'll see that the indicator to slightly wiggle the wheel will not show up. All you have to do is keep a very slight torque on the wheel.
He supported a wealth tax.
So we're getting close to our exit. It gives you this upcoming lane change with a indicator there, and then it'll eventually do a suggest lane change. But about 2 miles out, it starts telling you what lane you want to try to get into. I usually wait till the last minute to get into my exit lane. I know, I'm a terrible driver. Okay, now it's suggesting a lane change, but it puts the red indicator to let you know that it really shouldn't. I'm going to wait to pass this car. And there it goes. And then we're going to probably get another lane change suggestion here to get into our exit lane. And watch how it also throttles down my speed. So there's the lane change. I've got to give it the indicator, and then it's starting to slow down all by itself. We'll start seeing this also toggle down. Yeah, it went from 80 to 30. It goes into autopilot mode. Now, it really comes down, it goes down to 30 when the ramp speed says 25. But I usually take this probably 35 or 40 because it's not too bad a ramp. Okay, I'm going to try the setting average. I've tried I usually keep it on Mad Maxx. I tried mild. Assume disabled just won't suggest lane changes, so we'll try average this time. Gonna get on a highway pretty soon. So I engaged autopilot, navigation on autopilot on this on-ramp, and it's taking me down. Doesn't stay as close to the car in front of you as most people would. People behind me probably are pissed. But it will take this ramp. Now what happens is it takes the ramp to the end of the ramp and then merges in. You'll notice most of the cars here will start merging before the end of the ramp, and I'm almost positive the Tesla won't. Let's see and watch what it does. Because it's really just simply watching the the right lane, line lane there. Now it just stopped. I had to push the power pedal to start. And I don't know what it's doing now. I think it's just going to catch up to those cars and then merge in. Actually, look at that. It is not going ahead. I bet you it thinks it wants to merge in with this car. I'm going to put my blinker on. And there it goes. Pretty cool. It's a little jerky here. That was pretty weird. I think it just thought there were two lanes there. But it didn't. I thought it was going to zoom up to get behind the other cars. But it must have known it was going to merge. Now I have it on mild setting for suggested lane changes, and usually when you get on the highway it wants to get over a lane. Our lane is doing relatively well now, but let's see. Okay, so we got our first lane change suggestion, and it's going to get over. And I usually do stay in the right lane, which seems to go better here. We'll see how well this lane does. Curious to see if any of these cars jump in front of me. There's a lot of merge here to the left from these cars. So far, no. The Tesla leaves it pretty far. I had it set to 4 car lengths. I'll move it down to 3. But even if you have it set to 1, it leaves a fairly large gap. It's more noticeable when you're driving slow and stop and go traffic, not when you're driving at highway speeds.
Needs to know that there's a political dimension.
Just switch to night mode on the screen. A little harder to see. Hopefully you can still make it out. Lane change. My first lane change to go to the left. Tough to say whether the mild is that much different. Maybe just slightly. Serious braking there. This happens a lot. Now it's saying to get over to the right lane. Cars are coming up fast. I want to see if it will go over. And I'm gonna take over. I didn't like how fast the cars were coming up, and this stopped cars here. So let's put it back on. Just not comfortable yet with some of the lane change actions there. Cars were just coming up way too fast on the right hand side there. It would have probably gone over, but if I had to do it manually, I would have punched it to not cause the cars on the right that were coming up fast to have to stop abruptly. I was a little concerned that it would go over slowly and start up slowly, so that's why I took over. You really need to be in complete control of the car at all times. It's really autopilot. It's really just an assistant now. Don't have to do the micro steering, but keep your hands on the wheel. Watch, especially on a lane change. Check your rear view mirror when it suggests a lane change. It's really just aiding in the mundane functions of micro steering on a highway and lane changes on a highway, but you really need to be in control. Never had a problem in how it senses cars slowing down in front of you. The front-facing radar is really good at picking that up. Now that said, the dangerous thing that you have to be careful about is that if, God forbid, there's a parked car and the car in front of you pulls out at the last minute and there's a parked car there and you're doing 70 miles an hour, there's just no way for the car to stop. So you do have to be in control at all times and just watch what's going on. So it's just been sitting here in the left lane the whole time. Left lane does back up a little bit, but don't necessarily think the middle or the right lanes are doing that much better. I have noticed, however, the left lane does come to a sharp stop every once in a while. I basically feel, I've said this many times, more traffic tries to get over into the left lane, and this left lane ends up going a little slower. But not really noticing any big advantage to get over to the right. And I guess it's also, car just jumped in front, it slowed down just a tad, and then speeded up back to normal. So when a car jumps in front of you, it's handled pretty nicely. You get a slight slowdown. It really just regens a little bit, which slows down. And then when it pulls away, it'll speed back up to, well, attempt to speed up to that traffic there. Right lane's starting to move a little faster. I'm curious if it's going to suggest for us to get over. So far, no. It really should at this point.
Newspaper.
Finally, suggests to get over. Again, you want to look in your rearview mirror. This car was coming up in the third lane. So now it's going to pass this car because my speed limit's set to 75. I'm curious if it'll get over to the right lane. I normally would. If you can see that, right lane is wide open. I wonder if that wanted to wait for that car to pass. But here's a great example where the far right lane is wide open. It's keeping me in this lane. Curious. Oops, there it goes. Look at that. Pretty cool. I think Mad Maxx would have jumped at that. Mad Maxx mode would have jumped at that a little quicker. It seemed to hesitate there. Maybe to let the car pass, but even further. So that's pretty cool. It's going down the right lane. I don't know whether you're legally allowed to pass on the right lane, especially with a truck here. Not a smart idea. But I definitely do it. Curious if it's going to get over here. This lane's going pretty slow and a lot of traffic going past. Yep, there it goes. Got a truck coming up, but did accelerate to get over, so that was perfectly fine. The truck was pulling up behind me a little bit. Now I've got an exit coming up in 1.6 miles. I think, let's see. Ooh, wow, it wants me to get over to the left. Pretty strange. Oh, because actually the center lane exits here. So maybe that's why I didn't mind. We should see at like 1 mile out a gray line showing that we should really be trying to get into the middle lane. 1.1, watch it when it goes to 1 here. And there we're at 1 mile out, there's the gray line. So 1 mile out before your exit, it starts identifying the lane that you want to go into. It's not going to suggest us to change lanes until I think a half a mile out. Let's see. Now we've got a lot of traffic in this lane to get into. This will be actually a good test. So there it goes. So I don't like what it's doing. It's slowing down to try to get behind that truck. So I think I'm gonna. So I speeded up manually, and then it wobbled. So I took over. It's got a little bit of a problem trying to merge into busy traffic. It's not smooth. Accelerated to try to get past that car because I think it was going to slow down to get behind the car, and I had people on my tail, so I sped up a little with the power pedal, which you can press when you're in autopilot, and then it started going over and then it stopped. It does that a fair amount in lane changes. It doesn't commit to the lane change completely. I don't know what it's picking up, but it's probably a semi-tight little merge situation, and it doesn't like something going on. So it bails, which is not great for the people behind you. So I'm back on the highway. I put it back into Mad Maxx mode. Let me show you. Mad Maxx mode. And let's do our last video on navigate on autopilot, understanding the lane change options. Entered this highway, traffic was ahead of me, so it stayed in the right lane. I have noticed that almost on many situations when you enter the highway, it jumps over to the left lane, but just confirmed that if there isn't traffic, it stays in the right lane as you enter. Now I should eventually catch up to this traffic here, and there goes the lane change. Now that lane change, I don't know what happened there. I thought it might be because of the upcoming exit. There it's identifying the exit. 2 miles out, it starts identifying the exit. It's asking me to get over. I don't really think we need to get over so far out. 1.7 miles out, and it's not the greatest that it's trying to do a lane change here. The traffic is definitely slower to the right. I guess if it wants to just generally get into your exit lane ahead of time, I just know this road that right lane is going to be much slower here, especially up a little ways, because there's a exit and an on-ramp that just backs up. So I'm going to disregard this lane change, try to stay in this lane, and then switch over as we get closer. The exit up here, I've not seen it actually take the exit to date. I don't know why this exit it has trouble with. So we will see if it takes this exit. Now it's getting a little jammed here, but I have a feeling this I'll be able to sneak in front of this truck coming up. And I can, so I can put on my blinker. I don't like how it just slowed down, but it slowed down before making that lane change. Now I've got an upcoming lane, and it disengages. I don't know why. Maybe because, and it steers to try to stay in lane. I don't know why it doesn't like this exit. It takes so many other exits, and there's really no problem with that exit that I can see. Maybe it's just a short exit ramp. So getting on a major highway here, and then I'll re-engage autopilot. Now my speed is set to 44, which I think it scaled down. So I was able to put it in. I'm curious if the speed goes back up to the speed that I was just at on the previous highway, or does it know what speed to go to here? My offset would have we should take it to 78 miles per hour. Now it wants to do a lane change here, which is interesting. But it's staying at 44, which I don't like. So I've got to bump it up here. I guess I could just touch the speed limit sign. Okay, so I got on the highway. It's asking me to get over right away, which is pretty common. I guess as long as there's a traffic in the first lane, it jumps over pretty quick to the middle lane. Now here it's going to jump over again. I'm pretty sure Mad Maxx does that quicker than the mild or other settings. Because I did that yesterday morning. And let's see if at any point it jumps back. So here's the situation. I'm curious, after it passes this truck or passes this car, whether it will go back to the center lane. I think that traffic is traveling fast enough that it probably should. So right there, yep, there it goes. How about that? I'm learning the system pretty well. But making a very appropriate exit out of the passing lane. So I think the very early version didn't do that as much, if at all. I'll have to look at my early videos that I've recorded, because I felt like it would get in the left lane and just stay there. Now it seems to stay in the center lane and only go over to the right lane when the right lane is really wide open. Now that car just cut in front, so it's asking me to jump. But notice how quickly it did that. The Mad Maxx definitely decides to change lanes a little faster than the mild or the settings here. Mild or the average settings. Now here what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow down because there's nobody behind me, and see if it, yep, switches over to get out of the lane, because it probably can calculate the speed of those cars. Now I'm going to speed up. I think they're probably going around 75, and I feel like I'm catching up slightly to them. Yep, and there it goes. Let's speed up. So if you slow down, it knows to get over out of the passing lane. It must be calculating the speed of the cars in front of you and using that information to make a logical lane change. Now here, we've got a big gap after I pass this truck. I think it would, even though my speed is very fast, let's see, oops, that truck jumped in front, and I guess it did not change lanes. Again, I've got a bunch of trucks here I gotta pass. I'm gonna throttle down here to 75. I should still pass this truck, but then after passing this truck, let's see if it gets out of the passing lane. I suspect it will. And there it goes. You can do a soft click or even an acknowledgement on the gear shift. Now it's backing up, so let's see when it detects. There it goes. I'm curious when they're going to release the version that will just automatically change lanes. That'll be real interesting. I don't believe it's setting currently. Let's just double check that we didn't get it. Yeah, Autopilot. I assume under customize they're going to have automatic choice here.
Like learning more about each other on your first date. You play the oboe.
It does seem whenever we get stop and go traffic like this, that it just goes into the left lane and hangs out here. Usually not a bad idea. So I wonder whether it looks behind also to see whether it can just stay in the left lane here. It may have picked up that car in the center lane there, but that was pretty far out. It just asked me to get over to the left lane, but there's cars there. And then it gave up, I guess because this traffic slowed down here. So sometimes it suggests a lane and then it takes it back. Again, the right lane is moving better here. So I'm very curious. There's some cars over there. Finally gave me a right lane. But then it took it back. That was interesting.
Just to give us insight into what the president was thinking.
So it suggested a right lane, then it took it back. I just hit the blinker and it changed lanes.
It suggested a lane change to the left, so I hit my blinker to acknowledge it.
There is a joint investigation from the intelligence.
So what I'm trying to figure out is, will it suggest a lane change even though there are cars passing you? So I've got cars, the left lane is going a little faster here, but there's cars coming up from behind. And I wonder whether it waits for an opening before suggesting the lane change. Unfortunately, our middle lane here is starting to do better. I think we're too close. I think we're too close to this exit now that it won't suggest a lane change. Oops, there it goes. Okay, so I got a lane change with some cars coming up from behind. Put on my blinker and see if it's slowing down. Another car coming up from behind. There was room, so it jumped in. So we'll wait for an opening with the red indicator. Now, we did this yesterday. This is a little difficult to get into, and let's see what it can do here. So it's got to make a decision on where it can get in, and it looks like it's having trouble slowing down. And you know what? It did pretty good there. It slowed down and found a gap, and then got in. It was pretty nice. And then it should take this exit by itself. Does. It's a 2-lane exit. And then it switches to autopilot. Let's see how it does on this ramp. This ramp is sort of under construction a little bit, so I'm going to watch it closely. Tough turns here. The lines aren't great, but there is the center dotted line. Left line is really faded. But I have noticed, even with very minimalist lines or bad lines, it really can understand the driving surface fairly well. Now, it just jumped across the line, and that was weird. I wonder why I wanted to do that. Didn't like that. Okay. I'll see you guys.
Thanks for watching. If you want to see some of my other Model 3 videos, they're here in the top right. I just created a new channel, Nick's Pickleball Life, for my pickleball adventures. The name's weird, but the game is great, and you can find games virtually everywhere. If you want 6 months of free supercharging, please use my referral code listed on the bottom left. My Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram accounts are listed on the bottom right. And please don't forget to subscribe and tell your friends. Thanks everyone, bye-bye.